shakes British Midland Flight 92.
There's the sort of grinding noises and smells in the cabin.
What is it, the engines?
It's obvious that the crew were pretty rattled by this.
I'm thinking we've got a serious problem here.
One of the worst crashes in British history has a stunning cause.
It's very difficult to accept that such a basic mistake could be made.
And changes commercial aviation forever.
The learning points from this instance have been game-changing.
It's a busy Sunday night at London's Heathrow Airport. The crew of British Midland Flight 92 is completing final takeoff preparations for a short flight to Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Why don't you let them know we're ready to go?
Will do.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. We're just finishing up our final checks, but we'll have you on your way in just a few minutes.
There are 118 passengers on the evening flight, including British soldier Nigel Baldwin, returning to duty in Northern Ireland.
I was excited, just had an exciting weekend making the final arrangements for our wedding, and I just settled back like everybody else, to what I thought was a comfortable flight.
Midland 92, you cleared for takeoff? You want to take it this time?
Absolutely.
Captain Kevin Hunt flew the plane in from Belfast. First Officer David McClelland takes the controls for the return trip.
Thrust set. Here we go.
Their brand new 737-400 has clocked only 521 hours in the air. It's the very latest version of the world's most popular passenger plane.
E01. Rotate.
The flight is scheduled to take just 75 minutes.
Midland 92 cleared to flight level 350.
As Flight 92 clears the busy airspace around Heathrow, the controller permits the crew to climb to their cruising altitude, 35,000 feet.
Flight level 350, Midland 92.
Can I have a coffee too, please?
13 minutes into the flight.
What's that? I just knew there was something not quite right. There's sort of grinding noises and smells in the cabin that I wasn't used to.
Oh. You smell that?
Is that smoke?
There's a problem with one of the 737's two engines. Captain Hunt takes control, leaving his first officer to work out what's wrong with the plane.
All pilots, the first thing is fly the aeroplane. Make sure the aeroplane is safe, so that's making sure your flying instruments are all in the right place, and if they're not, getting it back into the right place.
What is it, the engines?
It shouldn't be happening. So one, we can hear it. Two, you can physically feel it through. This is like a sort of a humming vibration.
It's fire here. Which one is it? It's the left. Huh? It's the right one.
I think with the noises and everything, they realised very rapidly it was something to do with one of the engines. It was the root cause of A, the smoke, and B, the vibration and the noise.
The crew tries to stabilize the problem engine by reducing power on that side.
Okay, throttle it back.
Throttle it back.
you all right, man? And I'm thinking, you know, they've got these controls in the cockpit, they know what they're doing.
Seems to be running all right now.
The crew seems to have solved the immediate crisis,
But we're still at the smoke.
but want to get back on the ground as fast as possible.
This is Midland 92. We've got an engine fire. We need to divert to East Midland.
Understood. Cleared for descent to 10,000 feet.
It's an unusual situation. We've all practiced it many, many times in the simulator. We do it every 6 months. But I think to actually do it for real, on a dark night, with the vibration and all that's going on, it's very demanding.
I felt a sense of relief when the noise and everything stopped. Thinking, oh, it's okay, they've sorted it.
Flight 92 is just 15 minutes from East Midlands Airport. It's closer than returning to Heathrow.
Shutting down now.
The crew springs into action. They shut down the engines so that the fire doesn't spread. In the cabin, Nigel Baldwin is struggling to stay calm.
There was that heightened sense of that little bit of fear there, you know, in the back of your mind. What if? I think there's always that what if when you're flying.
Ladies and gentlemen,
We've had a problem with our right engine. We've shut it down and we'll be diverting to East Midlands Airport.
The stewards and stewardesses came round, taking the trays off us. Seatbelts, please. So we knew that, you know, they were taking precautions. And I'm thinking, we've got a serious problem here.
landing lights. On.
The pilots will have to make the landing with just one engine.
Flaps 1, please.
To land safely at low speed,
Flaps 1.
the pilots need to set their flaps to increase lift
Power, please.
and call for more power from their one remaining engine.
At some point the noise started again, and then this time it got worse.
The pilots face a terrifying new danger.
We're losing another engine.
Incredibly, the left engine is now failing. Their plane could soon have no engine power at all.
5-Bella number 1.
An alarm warns the pilots that fire is consuming the engine. Flight 92 is less than 1,000 feet from the ground. The pilots need to think fast.
Try relighting the other one.
They try to restart the engine they shut down.
It's not. I can't see it.
It won't start. One engine is dead, the other is in flames.
I remember the flames coming over the top of the engine, and they were just sort of licking around the sides.
I have to stretch the glide.
Captain Hunt pulls up the nose of the plane, hoping to stay in the air long enough to reach the airport. But more and more alarms are filling the cockpit.
Damn it!
The stall warning shakes the captain's controls. A deadly sign that they're about to lose their lift.
There were people screaming, there were people crying. You know, having fear for their lives.
Brace! Brace! Prepare for crash landing!
It was like, brace, brace, what do we do? Boom.
There'd have been a little wind noise going over, everything would have been completely silent. So it would have been extremely strange sensation.
I recollect my arms being just thrown around until the plane came to a rest. Having no control. That's quite eerie, actually.
British Midland Flight 92 has slammed into an embankment beside the M1 motorway, just half a mile from the airport.
It would have been just 15, 20 seconds more power before that engine had failed. They'd have got there, so heartbreakingly close.
Emergency crews reach the scene minutes after the crash. But getting to the survivors proves to be a huge challenge. The plane has been ripped apart. While emergency workers struggle to clear debris, Nigel Baldwin does what he can to help a fellow passenger.
Come on. Got to get you out.
I had to bring her onto my chest and pull myself backwards along the cables and girders that were left because of the plane was, the only way I've described it as a chicken carcass after a Sunday roast, weak and feeble.
The shattered fuselage has come to rest on a steep embankment where it's in danger of sliding down and killing more people. Experts from the Air Accidents Investigation Branch advise rescuers on the best way to secure it.
We took a pragmatic view and roped the tail to trees so that it wasn't going to fall over.
A dense tangle of broken seats is making it difficult to reach the survivors. Rescuers are astonished that no one driving on the busy M1 motorway has been hurt.
In fact, there were no victims on the ground, which we thought was absolutely remarkable.
87 of the 126 people on board are alive, but many are injured, including Captain Hunt, who has a broken spine.
Because of the steepness of the embankment that the aircraft was on, the emergency services were forming effectively a human chain, so as victims were pulled out from the wreckage, those stretchers were handed from one person to the next until they could be put into ambulances.
With the rescue complete, Britain's Air Accidents Investigation Branch can finally get to work. Rob Carter is one of the first investigators at the scene.
We arrived at the crash scene very late into the evening. All the emergency services were there, ambulance, fire, police. Some press people were just beginning to arrive. Tremendous amount of activity, and it took a minute to really assess just what was going on. It was dramatic. Walked into the nose section, and I'm looking up at the ceiling, up at the roof of the aircraft. There are no overhead bins. That's really odd. And I realized, where is the aircraft floor?
The crash has forced the closure of the M1 motorway, a major traffic artery. Investigators need to work as quickly as they can. Their first priority is getting their hands on the plane's black boxes, or flight recorders.
Recovering the flight recorders, of course, is a very major priority at the beginning of an investigation, because they have to be sent away, they have to be downloaded and interpreted.
Meanwhile, Rob Carter learns what he can from the layout of the crash site.
I wanted to understand where all the bits of the structure of the aircraft were. And that led me up onto the embankment where the aircraft had had its first impact.
Looks like the landing gear hit here.
The plane has left deep gouges in the ground along its path. They give Carter his first hints about how the crash unfolded.
The marks showed, almost in a textbook form, the attitude the aircraft was in when it hit the ground. The direction it was going, the position it was in. It was really helpful for developing what happened.
Close enough to see the runway lights.
It must have been very devastating for the crew and for everybody on board.
It's becoming clear the plane didn't have the speed it needed to reach the runway. The question is why?
I think all of the team, their first impression was that this aeroplane seems to have had some problem with engine power.
The aircraft just, didn't have the power to make it to the runway.
Damn it!
The pilots are too badly hurt to be interviewed. For now, investigators learn what they can from the controller on duty the night of the crash.
They said they had an engine fire.
The controller explains that the crew reported a problem about 20 minutes before the crash.
This is Midland 92. We've got an engine fire. We need to divert to East Midlands.
Understood. Cleared for descent to 10,000 feet.
The controller's story raises a question. The 737 aircraft has two powerful engines. How could a fire in one of them cause a plane to crash?